discipline isn't free. It costs time, it costs sacrifice, it costs blood, sweat, and tears. But let me tell you something, undiscipline costs everything. Discipline is the tax you pay today for the greatness you claim tomorrow. And when the lights go out, when the crowd goes home, the question is, did you pay the price? Did you embrace the true cost of discipline? Because that's the only way you'll ever taste victory, not just in the game, but in life. Discipline demands sacrifice now, rewards later. That's the truth most people don't want to hear, because sacrifice doesn't look pretty, it doesn't feel comfortable, and it doesn't give you instant gratification. We live in a world that's addicted to quick results, shortcuts, and overnight success stories. But discipline laughs at shortcuts, because discipline knows that nothing worth having comes easy. Every great athlete, every great leader, every great success story is built on the foundation of sacrifice, on the willingness to give up something today for something greater tomorrow. Sacrifice is the language of champions. It's the toll you pay every single day on the road to greatness. And discipline is the driver that makes sure you keep paying that toll even when nobody's watching, even when nobody's clapping, even when nobody believes in you but yourself. Think about the athletes who train before the sun comes up. They're not doing it because it feels good to wake up at 4 a.m. They're not doing it because the bed isn't warm and the pillow isn't soft. They're doing it because they understand the reward that discipline brings later. They're paying the price now with sleep, with comfort, with time, because they know when the game is on the line, when their moment comes, that sacrifice is going to show up in their performance. Sacrifice now, rewards later. That's not just a saying, it's a universal law. The work you put in behind the scenes, the sweat nobody sees, the tears nobody knows about, the pain nobody celebrates, that's the investment. The rewards are simply the interest earned on that investment. People confuse motivation with discipline. Motivation is temporary. It's emotional. It's the fire you feel after hearing a speech, after watching a highlight reel, after somebody tells you you're great. But motivation fades when the alarm goes off at 5 a.m. Discipline doesn't fade. Discipline doesn't need a hype video. Discipline doesn't care about how you feel. Discipline demands you sacrifice your feelings, your comfort, your excuses, and show up anyway. That's the kind of sacrifice most people run from. But let me tell you, the ones who embrace it, the ones who lean into it, they're the ones who write history. Sacrifice now means giving up the things that seem good in the moment, but cost you in the long run. It might mean skipping the party so you can study. It might mean passing on the junk food so you can fuel your body right. It might mean staying late to perfect your craft while others are out wasting time. Those aren't glamorous choices. They don't bring applause. They don't bring instant rewards. They bring silence. They bring loneliness. They bring doubt. And that's where discipline is tested, because it takes everything inside of you to say, I choose later over now. I choose the grind over the moment. I choose the long-term victory over the short-term pleasure. Discipline is sacrifice in its purest form, because it requires you to give up pieces of yourself today to become someone greater tomorrow. That means sacrificing laziness, sacrificing fear, sacrificing doubt, sacrificing the crowd's approval, sacrificing your comfort zone. Every single day, discipline asks, what are you willing to give up to gain what you say you want? That's the question most people avoid. They say they want greatness, but they don't want to sacrifice the sleep. They say they want success, but they don't want to sacrifice the weekends. They say they want freedom, but they don't want to sacrifice the hours to build it. Sacrifice now, rewards later. That's the separation line between the dreamers and the doers. When you look at the lives of those who have achieved the impossible, you will always find sacrifice hidden behind the spotlight. Nobody sees the days Michael Jordan spent in the gym before dawn, taking shot after shot when nobody was watching. Nobody sees the sacrifices Serena Williams made, the times she gave up, the friendships she missed, the nights she spent grinding on the court instead of relaxing. Nobody sees the family dinners missed, the holidays sacrificed, the moments traded for something bigger. But when the trophy is lifted, when the medal is earned, when the victory is celebrated, everyone sees the reward. What they don't see is the cost, the discipline that demanded sacrifice. Sacrifice doesn't mean losing. It means trading. You're not just giving something up, you're exchanging it for something more valuable. You trade temporary comfort for long-term strength. You trade a few hours of sleep for a lifetime of opportunity. You trade fleeting pleasures for lasting achievements. You trade now for later. And the later is always sweeter, always greater, always worth more than the moment you sacrificed. The man who sacrifices comfort for discipline today will walk into rooms tomorrow where others will never be invited. The woman who sacrifices her excuses today will create a life tomorrow that others will only dream about. That's the power of sacrifice through discipline. The human mind loves shortcuts. It loves comfort. It loves what feels good now. But discipline is the weapon that cuts through that illusion. Discipline reminds you that comfort now is a debt you'll pay later, but sacrifice now is an investment you'll cash in later. And here's the hard truth: you can't escape sacrifice. Either you sacrifice your comfort today, or you sacrifice your potential tomorrow. Either you sacrifice your excuses today, or you sacrifice your dreams tomorrow. Discipline just forces you to choose the sacrifice that builds you instead of the sacrifice that breaks you. There's a reason why so many people quit when things get hard. It's because they never train themselves to sacrifice in the small moments. Discipline isn't built in the big moments. It's built in the daily decisions nobody sees. It's built when you decide to get up when you'd rather stay in bed. It's built when you choose to focus instead of getting distracted. It's built when you eat clean instead of reaching for comfort food. It's built when you turn off the TV and open the book. Those small sacrifices build the muscle of discipline. And when the big moments come, the moments where everything is on the line, you're ready because you've been sacrificing all along. Sacrifice now, rewards later isn't just about success in sports or careers. It's about life. It's about relationships, health, spirituality, growth. A parent sacrifices sleep to raise their child, and years later, the reward is watching that child succeed. A student sacrifices parties and fun to study hard, and the reward is the opportunities that open up later. An entrepreneur sacrifices security and comfort, and the reward is freedom and legacy. Every area of life is touched by this law. The problem is most people want the reward without the sacrifice. They want the later without the now. They want the success without the discipline. But that's not how it works. Sacrifice is proof of seriousness. This is my last one. If you say you want something but you're not willing to give anything up for it, you don't really want it. You're just wishing. Wishing doesn't change your life. Sacrifice does. Discipline forces you to prove how bad you want it by what you're willing to give up. You say you want to be great. Okay, show me what you're sacrificing. You say you want to succeed. Show me the time, the energy, the habits you're cutting out. Because discipline is not about what you gain. It's about what you're willing to lose now to gain later. Discipline demands sacrifice now, rewards later, because the process always comes before the promise. The grind always comes before the glory. The work always comes before the win. You can't reverse it. You can't cheat it. You can't skip it. You can't plant today and harvest today. Nature doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work that way. You plant in one season. You nurture, you water. You sacrifice, and only later comes the harvest. That's discipline. That's sacrifice. That's how rewards earned. Comfort today steals success tomorrow. That's the trap most people fall into without even realizing it. Comfort whispers in your ear, telling you that you've done enough for the day, that you deserve to rest, that you should take it easy because tomorrow is another chance. But comfort is a thief in disguise. It robs you of discipline. It robs you of urgency. It robs you of the chance to rise above average. The thing about comfort is that it feels harmless in the moment. Skipping one workout doesn't seem like a big deal. Sleeping in one more hour doesn't seem like it matters. Watching one more episode doesn't feel like it's destroying your future. But comfort compounds. Every small decision to choose comfort stacks up until you realize you've wasted months, maybe years, in a cycle that left you weaker, slower, less prepared. Success doesn't disappear in an instant. It's stolen slowly, piece by piece, by comfort. Comfort feeds you lies that sound good in the moment. It tells you you'll start tomorrow. It tells you you're too tired to push today. It tells you that everyone else is resting, so you should too. But every single time you give in to comfort, you're handing over tomorrow's victory. Because while you're choosing comfort, someone else is choosing grind. While you're lying in bed, someone else is putting in the reps. While you're scrolling on your phone, someone else is sharpening their craft. Comfort today isn't free, it's an exchange. You're trading your potential for a moment of ease. You're trading your future strength for present weakness. You're trading your chance at greatness for a temporary escape from effort. The greatest deception comfort brings is that it disguises itself as kindness to yourself. It makes you think you're taking care of your body by resting when in reality you're avoiding discipline. It makes you think you're treating yourself when in reality you're feeding your excuses. And then tomorrow comes and the same comfort steals again and then again until one day you wake up and wonder where your drive went, where your time went, where your hunger went. Comfort isn't kind. It's a slow poison that numbs your ambition until you don't even realize it's gone. The truth is, growth never comes from comfort. Nobody ever built strength by sitting in ease. Nobody ever sharpened their mind by avoiding challenge. Nobody ever broke records, set legacies, or transformed their life by choosing what felt good in the moment. Growth requires stretching. Growth requires strain. Growth requires you to stand in the fire of discomfort until you become stronger than the flames. Comfort shields you from that fire, but it also shields you from the strength you could have gained. Every time you take the comfortable route, you're leaving power on the table, power that you wish you had when life tests you. Comfort today steals success tomorrow because success is built in the unseen hours, the hours where nobody is watching and nobody is clapping. Success is built when you show up tired, when you show up unmotivated, when you show up in pain, but you show up anyway. Comfort tries to stop you from showing up, and if it wins today, tomorrow you pay the price. Tomorrow you feel the gap between where you are and where you could have been. Tomorrow you feel the weight of the reps you skipped, the time you wasted, the opportunities you ignored. Comfort robs tomorrow's version of you and leaves you with regret. Regret is the invoice comfort hands you later. In the moment, comfort feels like a gift. Warm, easy, safe. But comfort has no intention of giving you anything. It only delays the cost. And that cost is always regret. Ask anyone who didn't chase their dreams, who didn't put in the work, who let comfort make their decisions. Their voice always carries the same tone. I wish I had pushed harder. I wish I hadn't wasted so much time. I wish I hadn't let comfort stop me. That's because success was waiting for them on the other side of discomfort, but comfort stole it day by day. What makes comfort so dangerous is that it disguises itself as harmless habits. 10 minutes of scrolling, one skip workout, one assignment left undone, one more bite, one more nap, one more delay. Comfort convinces you those choices don't matter, but they do. Because habits are the architects of your future. Small daily choices compound, and comfort knows that if it can win in the little battles, it will own you in the big ones. The war for your future isn't won in one grand gesture. It's won in the thousands of moments where you choose discomfort over ease, grind over rest, sacrifice over indulgence. The champions of the world, the Ray Lewises, the Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants, they all understood this truth. They understood that comfort was the enemy. That's why they pushed themselves harder than anyone else. That's why they showed up before anyone else and stayed after everyone left. Because they knew if they gave comfort an inch today, it would take a mile tomorrow. They knew that every choice to reject comfort was a deposit into tomorrow's greatness. And they made those deposits relentlessly until the rewards compounded into greatness. Comfort today steals success tomorrow because it kills momentum. Momentum is built when you show up day after day, stacking wins, building consistency, training your mind and body to expect effort. But when you give in to comfort, you break that chain. You reset the momentum. And momentum is everything. It's easier to keep going once you've built the habit. It's easier to wake up early once your body knows it's non-negotiable. It's easier to push through pain once your mind knows discomfort is normal. Comfort interrupts that cycle. It makes you start over. It makes the hill steeper. And the more you let comfort break your momentum, the harder it becomes to climb again. The cruel irony of comfort is that it feels like safety, but actually creates weakness. When you avoid the gym because it's uncomfortable, your body weakens. When you avoid the tough conversations because they're uncomfortable, your relationships weaken. When you avoid the hard work because it's uncomfortable, your opportunities weaken. Comfort doesn't protect you, it exposes you. Because one day life will test you. Life will hit you with adversity, pain, challenge, and in that moment, you'll need the strength, resilience, and toughness that only comes from rejecting comfort. If you've been feeding on comfort, you won't have the strength to withstand it. Comfort today, weakness tomorrow. Weakness tomorrow, failure when it matters most. Most people live in cycles of comfort because they never understand its cost until it's too late. They think comfort is rest, but rest is earned. Rest is strategic. Rest is discipline. Comfort is avoidance. Comfort is running away from the work. Rest builds you. Comfort drains you. And tomorrow always exposes which one you chose. The one who embraced discipline today shows up stronger tomorrow. The one who embraced comfort today shows up unprepared tomorrow. The scoreboard never lies. The results never lie. Life always reveals whether you chose comfort or discipline. Comfort also steals identity. You see, discipline builds identity. Every time you choose discipline, you're telling yourself, I'm someone who does the hard things. I'm someone who doesn't quit. I'm someone who pushes through. That identity gets stronger with every rep, every sacrifice, every grind. But when you choose comfort, you're telling yourself, I'm someone who avoids. I'm someone who quits. I'm someone who gives in. And over time, that identity sticks. Comfort today doesn't just steal success tomorrow. It steals who you could have become. It steals the stronger, braver, more resilient version of you that discipline was trying to create. The reward for resisting comfort today is not just success tomorrow. It's self. It's confidence. It's knowing you didn't sell yourself short, that you didn't let comfort win, that you kept your promise to yourself. Success is sweet, but self-respect is sweeter because it fuels every other success that follows. And that self-respect only comes from rejecting the comfort that wanted to rob you. Small, consistent actions beat big occasional efforts. That's the formula that separates those who dream from those who achieve. People want to believe that success comes in sudden explosions, in one big moment of effort, in one huge leap that changes everything. They want to believe they can go hard for a week, push once with intensity, and somehow skip the grind that lasts years. But the truth is, greatness is not built in big spurts. Greatness is carved brick by brick through small actions repeated over and over until they form a wall that can't be broken. Consistency is the difference between wishing for results and owning them. Big effort once in a while makes noise, but small, consistent actions build empires. When you train, one workout doesn't change your body. One day of eating clean doesn't transform your health. 1 hour of practice doesn't perfect your craft. It's the daily repetition, the daily discipline, the decision to show up over and over even when the results aren't showing yet. That's where the transformation happens. Small, consistent actions are like drops of water on stone. One drop doesn't make a dent, but over time, with persistence, the stone gives way. Consistency breaks resistance. Consistency beats talent. Consistency beats intensity that burns out. People love the big moments. They love the story of someone grinding for 20 hours straight, of someone making an extreme sacrifice, of someone going all in for a short period. Those moments inspire, but they don't sustain. What sustains is the man who wakes up every day and puts in the work, not just once, not just for a week, but for years. What sustains is the woman who stays disciplined in her habits, who doesn't let one win or one setback change the rhythm of her effort. Small, consistent actions are boring to most, but boring is where the gold is. Boring is where the champions are made, because consistency doesn't ask you to be extreme. It asks you to be steady. It's easy to go all out once. It's easy to put in massive effort for a short burst when you're motivated. But discipline isn't measured by what you do once. Discipline is measured by what you do daily. That's why the athlete who trains 2 hours a day, every day for years, will surpass the one who trains 12 hours once a month. That's why the student who studies 1 hour a night consistently will crush the one who crams for 12 hours once. This is my last one. That's why the person who saves a little money every week will become wealthy, while the one waiting for a big windfall will stay broke. The compound effect of small, consistent actions beats the inconsistency of occasional effort every single time. Consistency rewires your mind. Every time you follow through on a small action, you're proving to yourself that you're reliable. You're building trust with yourself. You're creating momentum. Momentum doesn't come from massive efforts once in a while. It comes from stacking small wins daily. And momentum is the most powerful force in achievement. It carries you when motivation fades. It pushes you when energy is low. It keeps you moving when nothing around you seems to change. That's why consistent actions, no matter how small, matter more than occasional bursts of effort. Think about the difference between the person who writes 1 page a day versus the one who writes 30 pages once every few months. At first, it doesn't seem like much. 1 page doesn't feel like progress. But after a year, the 1 page a day writer has a book. The other one has a handful of scattered pages and a pile of excuses. That's the power of consistency. Small daily actions compound into results that occasional effort can never match. The same is true in the gym. You can go in 1 day and destroy yourself with a crazy workout. But if you don't come back for weeks, your body won't change. But if you show up 3 times a week, steadily, even with moderate effort, the body adapts, grows, and transforms. Consistency beats intensity when intensity is inconsistent. The same principle applies to every area of life. Relationships thrive not on grand gestures done once, but on small, consistent acts of love, respect, and attention. Businesses grow not from one big idea executed once, from consistent execution of fundamentals over time. Growth is the child of consistency. The reason most people fail isn't because they don't try hard. It's because they don't try long enough. They go hard, but they don't go steady. They burn bright, but they burn out. They push for a week, then stop for a month. They go all in for a season, then disappear. And then they wonder why nothing changes. The answer is simple: inconsistency kills results. The body, the mind, the spirit, they respond to repetition, not to rare intensity. You can't build strength by lifting a weight once. You can't build mastery by practicing occasionally. You can't build character by showing discipline once in a while. Everything worth building requires steady effort over time. Small, consistent actions also build resilience. When you show up daily, you train your mind to push through boredom, through fatigue, through doubt. You learn that you don't need motivation to act. You learn that showing up itself is a victory. And when bigger challenges come, you're ready because you've built the muscle of discipline through consistency. Inconsistency makes you weak because it makes you dependent on feelings. Consistency makes you strong because it makes you independent of them. Success is not a sprint, it's a marathon. But even that doesn't capture it, because in a marathon you run in one big event. Life isn't like that. Life is more like getting up and running a mile every day. It's about showing up, not once, but forever. That's how legacies are built. Small, consistent actions over decades, stacking brick upon brick until there's a monument where once there was nothing. That's why consistency beats occasional effort, because occasional effort can never build monuments. It can only build moments, and moments fade. Monuments last. The most dangerous lie you can believe is that you'll catch up later, that you can skip the small action today and somehow make it up with a big action tomorrow. But tomorrow has its own challenges. Tomorrow has its own distractions. Tomorrow never waits for you to catch up. The truth is, what you skipped today is gone. The reps you didn't do, the pages you didn't write, the hours you didn't practice, you can't replace them later. You can only do today's work today. That's why small, consistent actions are everything. They protect you from the trap of procrastination, from the lie of later, from the illusion that one big effort will somehow cover up the small ones you never took. Consistency also creates identity. Every time you do something small consistently, you reinforce who you are. You become the kind of person who doesn't quit. You become the kind of person who follows through. You become the kind of person who takes action, whether you feel like it or not. That identity is powerful because once you believe you are consistent, you act consistent. Once you act consistent, success becomes inevitable. Big occasional effort doesn't create that identity. It only creates spikes of action with no foundation. But small, consistent actions shape who you are, and who you are shapes what you achieve. When you zoom out on success stories, what you'll always see is not one big event, but years of small, consistent effort. The champion who wins on the biggest stage didn't win that day. They won in the months and years of daily training, daily sacrifice, daily effort. The writer who publishes a best-selling book didn't write it in one night. They wrote it over months of showing up, writing word by word, page by page. The entrepreneur who builds a company didn't create it with one big leap. They built it through consistent decisions, consistent effort, consistent sacrifice. The highlight moment is just the visible reward. The invisible cause is small, consistent actions. The challenge with consistency is that it doesn't give you immediate results. That's why people quit. They want to see change in a week, in a month. And when they don't, they stop. But small, consistent actions require faith. Faith that the seeds you're planting will grow, even if you can't see them yet. Faith that the invisible work is building something visible later. And it always does. Just like compound interest in money, small daily deposits of effort grow into something massive over time. But you have to keep making the deposits. You can't withdraw what you never put in. Small, consistent actions beat big occasional efforts because life rewards persistence, not intensity. The strongest tree isn't the one that grew fastest in a single season. It's the one that grew slowly and steadily year after year, weathering storms, adapting, persisting. That's what you need to be. Steady, relentless, committed, not just for a day, not just for a week, but for as long as it takes. That's the cost of greatness. That's the price of success. That's the truth most people don't want to hear, but it's the truth that will set you apart if you live it. The pain of discipline is lighter than the pain of regret. That's a truth you only understand when you've lived long enough to see both sides, when you've carried both weights and felt the difference in your soul. Discipline hurts, yes. It demands sacrifice, yes. It forces you into discomfort every single day, yes. But that pain, as heavy as it feels in the moment, is nothing compared to the crushing weight of regret that comes when you look back and realize you could have done more. You could have been more. You could have achieved more. The pain of discipline is temporary. It fades as you grow stronger. But the pain of regret is permanent. It lingers. It haunts. It echoes in your mind forever. Discipline requires you to say no to your comfort, no to your laziness, no to your excuses. That no is hard. Waking up at 4 a.m. when your body wants to sleep is hard. Saying no to junk food when your cravings scream is hard. Turning off distractions and locking in on your goals is hard. But every time you endure that pain, you build resilience. Every time you push through, you get stronger. And that strength makes the pain lighter tomorrow. Discipline trains you to carry weight. The more you carry, the easier it gets. The pain teaches you how to grow. But regret doesn't teach you anything but sorrow. Regret is the pain that never leaves. It's the pain of knowing you had the chance but didn't take it. It's the pain of seeing opportunities pass you by because you chose comfort over. It's the pain of standing in front of the mirror and realizing the only person who stopped you was you. That's the pain that breaks people. That's the pain that eats away at the soul because you can't go back and fix it. You can't undo it. You can't rewind time. Regret is a prison where the walls are built from the excuses you once thought were harmless. And once you're trapped, there's no way out except to live with the weight of what could have been. Discipline may sting today, but it rewards you tomorrow. Regret saves its sting until later, when it's too late to do anything about it. You can't escape pain in this life. You either choose the pain that builds you or the pain that breaks you. You either choose the short-term discomfort of discipline or the long-term torment of regret. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. And the choice is always yours. Every successful person you admire has chosen the pain of discipline. They've chosen the grind over ease, the sacrifice over comfort, the focus over distraction. That's why they can stand on stages, hold trophies, break records, and inspire others. Because they endured pain now to earn peace later. Meanwhile, those who avoided discipline, who chose ease, who said, tomorrow, every day, they live with regret. You may not see it in their smiles, but you hear it in their stories. You see it in their eyes. You feel it in the emptiness of what they never became. The pain of discipline shows up in sweat. The pain of regret shows up in tears. The pain of discipline is carried in the gym, in the office, on the field, in the grind of daily sacrifice. The pain of regret is carried in silence at night when the world is asleep and you're left alone with your thoughts. It's carried at reunions when you see others living the life you wanted. It's carried at the end of careers when you realize you never gave your best. It's carried at the end of life when the only thing left is the memory of chances you didn't take. Discipline teaches you control. It teaches you that you are in charge of your choices, that you can master your impulses, that you can direct your life. That control gives you freedom. Regret takes control away. It makes you a prisoner of the past, chained to mistakes you can't fix. And the worst part is that regret is always preventable. It's always the result of choices, of moments where you knew what the right thing was, but chose the easy thing instead. Discipline never asks for perfection. It only asks for persistence. But regret punishes you for every time you surrender to weakness. Discipline builds identity. Every time you endure its pain, you're telling yourself, I am strong. I am committed. I am someone who doesn't quit. That identity becomes unshakable over time. Regret destroys identity. It makes you doubt yourself. It makes you question your worth. It makes you believe you're not capable because you never proved to yourself that you were. Discipline may hurt, but it affirms you. Regret hurts, and it condemns you. The pain of discipline is predictable. You know what it costs, and you know why you're paying it. It's the soreness in your muscles after a hard workout. This is my last one. It's the fatigue in your mind after long hours of study. It's the hunger you feel when you sacrifice indulgence for health. But you know that pain leads somewhere. You know it's taking you closer to a goal, to a victory, to a dream. The pain of regret is unpredictable. It blindsides you years later. It shows up when you least expect it. It shows up when you see someone else living the life you wanted. It shows up when you realize time is gone and you can't get it back. That's what makes it unbearable. Because unlike discipline, regret doesn't lead anywhere. It only reminds you of what you lost. When you're young, you think you have time. You think you can delay discipline and still catch up later. But discipline is like investing. The earlier you start, the bigger the rewards. The longer you delay, the harder it is to recover. Every day you skip discipline, you're compounding regret. And by the time you realize it, the debt is too heavy to repay. That's why choosing discipline today matters. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because every day of discipline is a day you're moving away from regret. The body you want, the career you want, the relationships you want, the life you want, they all demand the pain of discipline. You can't buy them with comfort. You can't wish them into existence. You can't fake your way there. You pay with effort. You pay with sacrifice. You pay with discipline. And if you refuse to pay now, regret will charge you later, and the interest will be unbearable. Most people don't fail because they weren't capable. They fail because they weren't disciplined. They had the talent, but they didn't have the consistency. They had the dreams, but they didn't have the habits. They had the opportunities, but they didn't have the discipline to seize them. And now they live with regret. That regret could have been avoided if they had chosen the lighter pain earlier. But they didn't, and now they carry the heavier one. You will never meet someone who chose discipline and regretted it, but you will meet countless people who avoided discipline and regretted every single day of their lives. That's the difference. The pain of discipline brings pride later. The pain of regret brings shame later. One gives you memories you can celebrate. The other gives you memories you wish you could erase. The beauty of discipline is that it gets easier the more you embrace it. What feels unbearable at first becomes normal. Waking up early becomes routine. Eating clean becomes natural. Training daily becomes part of who you are. The pain diminishes because your strength increases. But regret never gets easier. It gets heavier with time. The older you get, the harder it hits, because the less time you have to fix it. That's why people cry on their deathbeds. Not because of what they endured, but because of what they avoided. Not because of the discipline they practiced, but because of the discipline they lacked. Every time you feel the sting of discipline, remind yourself it's the lighter pain. It may hurt now, but it saves you from a much greater hurt later. Every time you're tempted to quit, remind yourself the pain of regret is waiting if you do. Discipline is a choice you make daily, and every choice protects you from regret. Every workout, every study session, every sacrifice is a shield against the weight of what if. Discipline creates confidence and control because it gives a person certainty in their own abilities, certainty in the process they've built, and certainty in how they will respond when challenges show up. Confidence is not some random spark of emotion or a motivational high that comes and goes. It is the byproduct of doing what you said you would do over and over again. And the repetition builds a foundation so strong that nothing can shake it. When someone commits to discipline, waking up early, training when they don't feel like it, studying when others are distracted, they start to develop a trust in themselves. That trust is confidence. Every time they keep a promise to themselves, that inner voice grows stronger, telling them they can handle whatever is next. Without discipline, confidence collapses because deep down a person knows they cut corners, knows they skipped steps, knows they didn't prepare fully. With discipline, the opposite is true. They step into every arena with the knowledge that they have already paid the price. Control is the second pillar that grows from discipline. Life will always present chaos, temptations, and unexpected obstacles. Without discipline, people react emotionally, impulsively, and often destructively. They allow circumstances to dictate their actions. But discipline flips that equation. A disciplined person learns to respond rather than react. They've conditioned themselves through routines and systems. So when pressure mounts, they are not overwhelmed. They have control over their schedule, their emotions, their habits, and even their environment. That doesn't mean everything goes perfectly. It means they are prepared for when it doesn't. Discipline builds the muscle of self-control, and self-control leads to mastery of one's own life. Confidence and control reinforce each other. The more discipline a person has, the more confident they become in facing challenges, and the more control they exercise in situations where others panic. It creates a feedback loop. Imagine an athlete who trains consistently. Because of discipline, they build strength, speed, and endurance. That preparation becomes confidence when the competition begins. They no longer fear being outworked because they know the hours they put in. That confidence allows them to remain calm under pressure, and that calmness is control. The opponent may be frantic, but the disciplined athlete stays steady. The same principle applies in business, relationships, and personal growth. Discipline creates confidence in small, everyday victories. Waking up at the time you set builds self-respect. Sticking to a nutrition plan strengthens belief in your ability to resist temptation. Finishing a project before the deadline shows yourself that you can manage time and effort effectively. Each of these small wins compounds, stacking layer upon layer of proof that you can rely on yourself. Confidence is not built in a moment of glory, but in the quiet hours where no one is watching. When the spotlight finally comes, the disciplined individual shines, not because they suddenly found confidence, but because they had been building it all along. Control also emerges in those unseen moments. When you practice discipline, you control your environment rather than letting it control you. Instead of reaching for distractions, you create boundaries that protect your focus. Instead of letting cravings dictate your choices, you direct your energy toward long-term goals. Instead of letting emotions spiral, you pause, breathe, and act according to principle rather than impulse. Control is not about rigidity or being robotic. It is about mastery. Discipline allows you to take charge of your time, your energy, and your direction so that you are the driver, not a passenger being carried by circumstances. Discipline builds resilience, and resilience strengthens confidence. When you face setbacks, the undisciplined person crumbles because they never built the habits of consistency. The disciplined person adjusts, learns, and keeps going. This persistence reinforces the belief that no matter what comes, they can overcome. That's confidence. At the same time, resilience requires control. Without discipline, a setback might trigger self-pity, excuses, or rash decisions. With discipline, there is control over the response, analyze the mistake, reset, and move forward with determination. Confidence is often misunderstood as arrogance, but discipline ensures it stays grounded. Arrogance comes from ego without proof. True confidence comes from evidence, days, weeks, years of disciplined work. That's why the most confident people are often the most humble. They don't need to talk about how great they are because their actions speak for themselves. Their discipline has already proven it. Control, too, is often misunderstood as suppression. But it's not about denying emotions or desires. It's about directing them productively. A disciplined person feels the same anger, frustration, or excitement as anyone else, but they have control over how it is expressed. They don't let emotions hijack decisions. They let discipline guide them. Discipline also creates confidence in leadership. People follow those who are consistent, those who embody what they preach. A leader who lacks discipline cannot inspire genuine trust because their words and actions do not align. But a disciplined leader shows up early, works hard, and makes sacrifices. That inspires confidence in others because they see someone in control, someone who can be relied upon. This type of leadership confidence is contagious. It spreads through teams, organizations, and families. When one person shows disciplined control, others rise to that standard. Control extends to long-term vision as well. Discipline gives you the ability to stay aligned with your goals even when distractions, temptations, or obstacles appear. Without discipline, people drift, pulled in every direction by whatever feels good in the moment. But with discipline, control allows you to say no to what doesn't serve you and yes to what aligns with your vision. Over time, this creates momentum, and that momentum fuels even deeper confidence. You begin to trust not only yourself, but also the process you've built. Confidence and control through discipline are not limited to external achievements. They transform the inner world as well. A disciplined person sleeps better at night because they know they lived according to their values. They look in the mirror with pride instead of regret. They feel peace because control has replaced chaos. That peace itself strengthens confidence because it creates a foundation that does not crumble under pressure. A calm, focused, disciplined individual becomes a force in any situation, not because life is easier for them, but because they are stronger in handling it. The price of greatness is paid daily, not in one dramatic moment, but in the quiet repetition of choices that most people overlook. People often imagine greatness as a single victory, a championship, a breakthrough, a headline. But those moments are only the result, not the cause. The real price is hidden in the daily grind. The early mornings when no one is watching. The late nights when everyone else is asleep. The discipline to show up even when the body is tired and the mind is screaming for comfort. Every day you either pay the price or you postpone it. And postponing always makes the debt heavier. Greatness never comes on discount. It never shows up in clearance sales. It demands full payment, and it demands it daily. Each day is a chance to make a deposit into the account of your future. When you choose discipline, you're investing in the long-term outcome. When you skip, when you delay, when you compromise, you're withdrawing from your potential. Over weeks, months, and years, those choices add up. That's why greatness separates itself from mediocrity. It's not about talent alone. It's about the daily consistency of paying the price. The athlete who runs one more drill. The entrepreneur who makes one more call. The student who studies one more hour. They are building a foundation brick by brick. It doesn't look glamorous in the moment. Nobody claps for daily sacrifice. But when the big moment arrives, when the lights are on, the difference between the one who paid the price daily and the one who cut corners is exposed. Paying daily also means embracing repetition. Greatness is forged in monotony. The same workout, the same practice, the same habits repeated until they become second nature. Many quit because they get bored, because they think progress should always feel exciting. But the price of greatness is hidden in the boring, the ordinary, the uncelebrated tasks that compound into mastery. A musician plays the same scale thousands of times before a song inspires the world. A boxer throws the same punch until it becomes instinct in the ring. A writer fills page after page with drafts no one will ever read before one book changes lives. The daily payment is not always visible, but it is always necessary. The price also requires discipline when motivation fades. Motivation is a spark, but it cannot sustain you for the long haul. Discipline is the currency that pays the daily bill when motivation runs out. Greatness requires doing the work even when you don't feel like it. That's the payment most people avoid. And that's why most people settle for average. They wait for the feeling, while greatness is built by those who show up without it. Every day you delay the payment, the interest grows, and the cost of regret is always heavier than the cost of discipline. Daily means sacrifice. It means saying no to things that others say yes to. It means trading comfort for growth, leisure for effort, instant gratification for delayed reward. Friends might not understand. Family might question it. Society might call it obsession. But the price of greatness is not meant to be understood by the majority, because the majority never achieves it. The few who do are the ones willing to sacrifice daily comforts for extraordinary outcomes. They embrace the fact that every day carries a cost, and they choose to pay it in sweat, focus, and consistency rather than pay it later in regret, disappointment, and mediocrity. There is also a mental price. To be great, you have to pay daily in focus, in clarity, in guarding your mind against negativity and distractions. Every day requires a mental reset, blocking out excuses, silencing doubt, and training the mind to believe in the vision, even when the evidence is not yet visible. That daily payment sharpens resilience. It creates the mental toughness to withstand criticism, failure, and setbacks. Without paying that mental toll every day, people crumble under pressure because their mind was never conditioned for battle. Greatness is not only physical, it is mental, emotional, and spiritual. The price must be paid in all areas every single day. Daily payment also builds momentum. Small actions, repeated consistently, grow into massive results. One workout doesn't change your body, but 100 do. One disciplined day doesn't transform your life, but years of them create a legacy. The daily price may feel small in the moment, but compounded over time, it becomes unstoppable power. That's why you can't afford to skip. Missing one day may seem insignificant, but it breaks momentum. And momentum is the invisible force behind greatness, keeping the streak alive, maintaining the rhythm, paying the toll every day without fail. That's what separates those who dream from those who achieve. The price of greatness is also lonely, because not everyone is willing to pay it. Many will fall away, choosing comfort, distraction, or excuses. Paying the price daily often means walking a path that feels isolated. But in that solitude, strength is born. When you train alone, when you study alone, when you push through alone, you discover a deeper part of yourself. You realize that greatness cannot be outsourced or borrowed. It must be earned in the private battles when no one else is around. And when the day of recognition finally comes, it is those hidden payments that make the public reward possible. Every single day is a test. Will you pay the price today? Will you keep your promise to yourself? Will you stack one more brick onto the foundation? Greatness demands that the answer is yes. Not once, not sometimes, but daily. It doesn't matter what you did yesterday. Yesterday's payment is already spent. It doesn't matter what you plan to do tomorrow. Tomorrow's payment hasn't arrived yet. The only payment that counts is today's. That is why greatness belongs to those who are relentless in their daily commitment. The payment is not glamorous. It is not celebrated. It is not applauded. It is unseen sweat, unseen discipline, unseen repetition. But when the breakthrough moment arrives, when the championship is won, when the business takes off, when the legacy is written, the world sees the highlight. They call it talent, luck, or destiny. But those who paid the price daily know the truth. It was never a single moment. It was the cost paid over and over again every single day.